It's become a sure sign of spring in one of the world's most cosmopolitan cities. Men and women from around the globe shooting arrows in the futuristic metropolis of Shanghai. With winter finally loosening its grip, many of the planet's best archers, clutching high hopes, along with their bows, came back outdoors to compete for the bounty of gold up for grabs in the financial capital of the Far East.
And I shoot for Denmark. Combat archers are shooting at 50 meters on these targets. And then you're supposed to hit the 10 or X. Well, in international competition work that you have a qualification of 72 arrows and then you have finals. Qualification work like you shoot 6 arrows at a time, and then when you have shot 72, you're done. And then 720 is the highest score, and then you can get ranked by how much you shoot. The matches work like the top seeded shoot against the lowest seeded, and then you shoot at 15 arrows, and 150 is the highest score, and then you shoot on until there's 2 left for the gold final. If there's a tie, you shoot 1 arrow, and the one closest to the center wins. I really love winning, of course, but the feeling of a good shot going in the X is really exciting. Bye!
The women's gold medal match would feature a team with a nice blend of youth, experience, and top-notch talent. Sarah Holst Sonicson, a star on the rise, would have plenty of support from Tanya Jensen, Erika Anier, and Martin Damsbo in the coach's box. It had to be all hands on deck to deal with Albina Loginova, Maria Vinogradova, and Natalia Avdieva. Under sunny skies and shadows cast by towering skyscrapers in the Pudong district, the Danes were doing their best to hold off a Russian comeback. Denmark up by 1 going into the 4th end. Vinogradova leading off and leading the way for Loginova. Albina making it back-to-back 10s. Setting the table for Natalia, and Natalia nails another one. Now it was up to Denmark to answer. Tanya Jensen would surrender a point, as would Erika Anier and Sarah Holst Sonicson. A 3-point swing with Russia now up by 2 with 3 arrows to go. With machine-like precision, Maria would once again strike gold, but Albina would not. And when Avdieva followed with another 9, Denmark still had a chance. And they took advantage. Tanya Jensen catches the line for another 10. Anier leaves no doubt on her shot, and Sonicson forces a shoot-off on a clutch shot with her final arrow. Another swing in momentum now forces a tiebreaker at the new Central Green venue in the center of Shanghai's Pudong district. Russia hoping to cash in here in the financial district, but Maria Vinogradova's opening salvo veers off center. So Jensen goes for the jugular and hits it. Denmark's back in the driver's seat. Albina does her best to preserve Russian hopes, which are still alive after a 9 from Erika Anier on this shot. But when Avdieva can't come through, she and her teammates are at the mercy of Sarah Holst Sonicson, who sets off a subdued celebration. Denmark had Russia dead to rights early in the match, getting off to an early 6-point lead, only to see the Federation fight back and take a 2-point edge with 3 shots to go. But the Danes were able to force that shoot-off, where a 9 and a pair of 10s turned out to be the winning hand. There was a lot of pressure on me on that last arrow, so I had to try to keep my nerves calm and just shoot, and it was a 10. Not much time for Sarah to celebrate. Not when she had an appointment to appear in the women's gold medal match and a date with destiny with that other Sarah from South America. Sarah Lopez, ranked #1 in women's compound, and back to defend the gold medal she'd captured the year before in China. In 2015, she'd scored a 3-point victory in the finals, but this time it would be a little closer. Didn't look that way after the first 3 ends, Lopez with what seemed to be a commanding 4-point lead. But Sonicson refused to surrender, opening the 4th set with a direct hit. Lopez would counter, matching that 10 with one of her own. The Dane wasn't done, though, bearing down to put another 10 spot on the board. Would it make a difference? Only if Lopez faltered, and she did, just a bit on her next shot. With the lead down to 3, Sonicson just kept plugging away. A trio of 10s turning up the pressure on Sarah Lopez, who left her next shot in the 9 ring, dropping the lead down to a deuce, leading to some serious conversations for Sarah, along with her Colombian coach. A pair of 9s, a lot to ponder for the woman who'd won the 2015 World Cup Finals in Mexico City. Her lead cut in half with just 3 arrows to go, and her opponent was not about to let up. Sarah Holst Sonicson continued her string of big-time shots, leaving her in position to draw even closer with a little cooperation from Lopez, who did in fact comply. Another 9, dropping the lead down to a single point. With the match on the line, Denmark's Golden Girl was giving it all she had, giving herself every possible chance to pull off the comeback. But Sarah Lopez made her stand, barely, her next arrow just inside the line. But it kept Sonicson at bay, and when her last arrow strayed off course into the 9 ring, Colombia's Queen of Compound needed just a 9 of her own to secure the win. Not much finer than a 10-liner that once again helped make Sarah solid gold. Back-to-back wins in China for Sarah Lopez, who was seriously challenged by Sarah Holst Sonicson, who made it clear she'll be a force to be reckoned with down the World Cup road. Sébastien Peinot out to salvage his trip to China with a victory in the mixed team gold medal match. Paired with 18-year-old Amélie Sansoneau, Peinot would try to make amends for his early exit from the qualifying rounds. Redemption would not come easy, not against a Colombian couple who'd come down this road before. Sarah Lopez and Daniel Munoz, the defending mixed team champs from stage 1 a year ago. We pick up the action after 3 ends, and France had it flowing. It's a 4-point cushion for Peinot and Sansoneau and a big hill for Colombia to climb. And they didn't gain much ground after a pair of 9s from Lopez and then Daniel Munoz. 2 shots that would open the door even more for the French duo. Sébastien Peinot would let the opportunity pass, but his partner was not quite as generous. Sansoneau strikes gold and bumps the lead up to 5. Colombia would need some 10s of their own to stay in contention, and they would get one, but only after another 9 from Sarah. No, a 10 spot from Daniel Munoz would be too little, too late. Especially with Sébastien Peinot padding his lead, leaving it to his colleague to do the honors and put the match away. This time, 9 is enough. And Amélie Sansoneau sews up the victory and claims a gold medal to go along with the mixed team silver she acquired in Copenhagen at last year's World Championships. After a week that saw them win a pair of shoot-offs and defeat Denmark by just 1 point, Amélie Sansoneau and Sébastien Peinot sail away to a 5-point victory at Stage 1 Shanghai.
En arrivant sur le terrain des finales,
when we came out to the final venue, we just wanted to shoot well and to enjoy the experience. We didn't expect to start with 40. It's the best start you can have. The rest of the match went well. We didn't think that we would shoot so well because there's always some stress on this final field, in front of the cameras, with the public. But we are really super happy to get this victory.
Mais voilà, on est vraiment super content de cette victoire.
On paper, France had to be the favorite to win the men's team bronze medal. With Peynaud and Dominique Genet both highly ranked, the anonymous Aussies seemed to be at a bit of a disadvantage. And yet they were able to force a shoot-off, which did not start well for France, Genet putting his arrow in the red zone. Scott Bryce had a better bead on the target and gave his team a slim edge. Peynaud would dip his arrow into the 9 ring, only to have his shot matched by Justin Oleksienko. Jean-Philippe Bouche could do no better. A solid shot, but not enough to prevent Michael Brosnan and the upstarts from down under from winding up on top. Among those three, only Brosnan had claimed a World Cup medal, but this tie-breaking performance took care of that. After coming from 2 down in the 4th end to force a shoot-off, the Aussies pull off the upset.
Hi, my name is Dean Alberga. I've been the world archery photographer for 10 years now. This is my 11th season. I use a DSLR system because it's rugged. It can take a bump. I mean, I'm always in the field working, so it's good to have equipment that can take rain, dust. I use basically 2 lenses, a 24-70, which is this one, and I use the 70-100 to get in a little bit close. Sport is emotion, so there's always disappointment, happiness. So keep your eyes open, look around you. It's not just the action on the shooting line. There's always something going on in the back, and camera ready. Sometimes it's difficult, especially during qualification. You just have 1 or 2 angles that you can take photos from. So what I try to do is get in a little closer with your zoom lens, go low, go down on your knees, and during the finals you have a little more room to move around the field, so you get the decent shots. In those cases I use a bigger lens so I can get in close from the front. So yeah, just be creative and just shoot. When I shoot during a normal qualification day, I take a minimum of 500 to 600 photos, of which we use around 100 photos for the internet. So it can add up to quite a lot, but the best photo for archery or any sport would be if it has the emotion, the action. It captures everything that the sport is all about in one frame. To achieve that, the best tips I can give you is be creative, experiment a little bit, and keep your eyes open and camera ready.
These 3 Iranians were more than ready for the men's team gold medal match. Gedi, Abadi, and Taheri have all made their mark in World Cup competition, but they'd be put to the test once again by an American team consisting of newcomer Alex Wiffler, rising star Steve Anderson, and the world-renowned Rio Wild, one of the most dominant archers of this era. That being said, Iran built a 4-point cushion through 3 ends, leading 173-169 heading down the stretch. The Honey Badger did his best to take a bite out of that deficit. And so did the new kid on the block, Alex Wiffler, holding up his end of the bargain, while Steve Anderson stayed steady as well. The U.S. doing all it could to put pressure on Iran. But Abadi would not be rattled. And the same goes for Taheri, a bronze medalist at the Indoor World Championships in Turkey. But then it happened. Gedi's surprising 7 offering a flicker of hope for the Americans. Down by 2 with 3 to go, Steve Anderson would hit pay dirt. So you're saying there's a chance? The odds of a comeback improve even more after a 10 off Whiffler's bow.
Alex, still 10 high left, okay? You're good.
And it becomes a full-fledged rally after the wild man does his thing. 3 straight 10s and 5 altogether in the fourth end keep hope alive. But not for long. A body starts to burst the bubble. Then Taheri takes even more wind out of the American sail. And Majid Gedi gets off a shot that was just good enough to keep this shootout from going to a shoot-off. The U.S. made it close, but in the end, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. After wins over Hong Kong, Turkey, and Australia, the team from the United States would come up 1 point short in the finals. Meanwhile, it's another landmark victory for the Iranian men's team, coming on the heels of last summer's World Championship crown in Copenhagen. Here in Shanghai, Ibadi, Taheri, and Gedi get past India, win a shoot-off with the Dutch, and slip by France, before finally edging out the Americans for the gold medal at stage 1. Final score, 229 to 228. After we won the gold medal in Denmark, we wanted to continue the same way. And we wanted to come here to get the gold medal too. For us, it was good to go against the USA in the finals. This is the first time we've beaten the United States. If 1 medal is good, 2 is better. Australia's Michael Brosnan, fresh from winning a team medal, was back on the line, taking aim at his own bronze medal. He'd have to get past Peter Elzinga, the down-to-earth Dutchman once ranked first in the world. Of course, resumes don't matter much when it comes to World Cup archery, which was obvious after the first 9 arrows. Brosnan pounding out to a 5-point lead at the pond. But there's no quit in the man from the Netherlands, who's been around long enough to know anything can happen. Same goes for the Aussie. Michael Brosnan kept pace by putting his first arrow of the fourth end right on the line. Elzinga would become even more precise with his next shot. And yet, he was having trouble gaining ground. Peter running in place with Brosnan matching him basically shot for shot. So all Peter could do was keep shooting 10s and hope for the best. Which, of course, was not in Brosnan's best interests. Maintaining an even keel helped Michael Brosnan maintain his 5-point lead. So, these were troubled waters facing Peter Elzinga as he focused on the 5th and possibly final set. One which did not start out well for the man who'd won the gold medal in Medellin just 2 years ago. Of course, it could have been worse. Had Michael Brosnan continued his barrage on the 10 ring. Elzinga recovered on his next shot, mining for a little more gold, and picking up a point when Brosnan failed to counter. Still, at this point, it had pretty much become a matter of pride for Peter, who would finish up strong with a pair of X's on his last 2 shots, yielding the floor to one Mr. Michael Brosnan, who made his trip to China pay off, cashing in on the daily double. The man from down under, clearly an excellent shooter, just needing a bit of work on his celebration. But that's okay, mate. The bottom line's all that really counts, and the numbers add up in favor of Michael Brosnan.
I'm Max Schlosser, I'm from the Netherlands. I just set a world record at the qualification round. My previous record was 7:16. It was at a local competition in the Netherlands, and I made it now 7:17. I only put 3 arrows out. It's not a lot, but it's like one, I was thinking about something and I just shot the arrow and my pin was like high in the 9. I wasn't paying attention though, that was a stupid mistake. And then I shot one just out on the left and I shot another one against it. I could definitely shoot more because I made some stupid mistakes and I'm always trying to do it better, but this was really good, so I'm happy about it.
Two years ago, this man was ranked 407th in the world when he arrived in China. But that was then and this is now. After grabbing a gold medal at the World Cup Finals in Mexico City, Damir Elmaachle's on everyone's radar screen. So is this guy. Mike Schlosser, fresh off another record-setting week of qualifying, would now try to cap things off with a gold medal. Damir was dialed in. Elmaachle getting off to a great start, striking gold with his first 5 shots. But after a disastrous moment for the Turk, who failed to release his final arrow of the second end, Schlosser was well positioned to bag another gold doubloon. Of course, if Mike were to miss, Elmaachle was still in striking distance and poised to pounce. Damir locks in and drills his first shot of the fourth end. Lo and behold, Elmaachle's just 4 shots back after the Dutchman drops down into the red zone. Still, Damir never seemed to get comfortable. Often holding for what seemed to be an eternity, his patience or hesitation was not paying dividends. At the same time, Schlosser wasn't quite as sharp as he usually is. So the match remained competitive. Damir proved his resiliency during the week, winning a pair of tiebreakers en route to this gold medal match. And he remained resolute. Still, neither man seemed to be able to make a major move until Schlosser finds the sweet spot, again, to move back in front by 5. An amazing reversal of fortune considering the fact he was down by 6 early in the match. Elmaachle would open the 5th end with an arrow that caught the line for 10. But now Mr. Perfect would start to live up to his nickname. So this was becoming an exercise in futility for the Turk, who could only shake his head and wonder, what if? No such thoughts for Schlosser, who was busy making sure he was covering all his bases. To Elmaachle's credit, he would go out on a high note, which was some consolation after the hard luck he'd encountered. But one man's misfortune is another man's good fortune. It all worked out for Mike Schlosser, who was less than perfect and yet still able to win the big prize. And that's something he'd been struggling with recently, sealing the deal when he got to the gold medal match. But with an assist from his opponent and then some solid shooting over the last 3 ends, the Dutchman stood as tall as the skyscrapers surrounding Central Green. It was not an easy match. My performance in the finals lately have not been that good. So I tried something new. It didn't work out, but I learned from it, so I'm happy about that. And Sarah Lopez is happy to be heading home to Colombia for stage 2. She'll be leading the pack when they arrive in Medellin with Sarah Sonicson, Seol DeYoung, Linda Ochoa Anderson, and Crystal Galvin in hot pursuit. Meanwhile, on the men's side of the ledger, Mike Schlosser carries an early lead to Colombia, followed by Damir Elmaachle, Michael Brosnan, Peter Elzinga, and Patrick Larson, among others. We hope you'll join us for live shot-by-shot coverage from Stage 2 in Medellin on Archery TV.